What's going on, everyone? This is Michael Stewart Isaacs.
And this is Shemekka and
And this is your next edition of Sunday
Sunday
Stacks.
Stacks.
Sunday Stacks is back. We're excited. We have a phenomenal episode designed just to really just create some intriguing perspective. And each week with Sunday Stacks, we want to make sure that we have information and current events that make sure that week for week, your life is stacking up. So as we continue, we want to always give a quick shout out to the Alive Podcast Network. We love being here at Alive, allowing us to have a platform to continue to grow and touch the people. We definitely love being able to share our perspective with Sunday Stacks and giving people just an opportunity to truly understand where life can stack up for you week for week. And with that being said, we want to also shout out the I Am Brilliant tour. Yes, me and Shemekka Ebony will be in cities near you over the next several weeks and months just to continue to bring the energy of I Am Brilliant. And we are grateful for all the places we've stopped this year. This week and this month, of course, is a holiday season. We just had Independence Day this week, so definitely excited. But most importantly, it is the beginning of Q3. Yes, quarter three. Mm-hmm. So anyone out there that is a business owner who's looking at turning the page, or if you're a nonprofit organization and maybe you're starting a new fiscal calendar, this is that season that just allows everyone to regroup. And usually after the 4th of July or that week of 4th of July, everyone is going on holidays and vacations. I know we've had some hurricane storms kind of disrupting things for people out there. But as we always start each show, Shemekka, how's it stacking for you this week?
Oh man, it is stacking with gratitude. I have my voice back. Not being here last week was a pretty big deal. We had a lot going on. We had a lot of moving parts and I needed a refuel, and it was something about just understanding my body, understanding how much power and energy is in a voice. Like when I didn't have one, it was like crazy. It was like trying to stop myself from talking when I know I needed to rest was very hard because there's always something that needs to be said.
And you have such a beautiful voice. So we are always happy to have you back on the show and just sharing your perspective and the beauty of the sound that you make. God gave you, I know I'm favorable, it's my wife, y'all, but
He's so sweet.
You make such a beautiful sound, and it was hard not being able to see you comfortable when you weren't able to have your full voice, but I saw you push through so much. So super proud of you in regards to just how you were able to just continue to push through so many major obstacles and hurdles while losing your voice. So we celebrate you as a family member, as a leader in our family, just to continue to pursue. That's the part of being an entrepreneur, y'all, just being a business owner. Sometimes when you don't feel well, you still have to step up and perform. And Shemekka is a true testament to that.
One thing it just helped me realize is how valuable my voice is. And that's just not to be haughty or to overstate, but it was more so I became more mindful of only saying things that were important or significant and not wasting my voice. And I just want to share that in this stacking is that, just be mindful what you put your energy towards, be mindful of what you get behind with your voice. For me, I know that my calling is great, and what I put my voice to and support really matters and is significant in the world. That's part of my calling. That's part of the work that I do. And so when we talk about stacking, how's it stacking? For me, I'm preparing this month. We got 2 groups launching on the forum platform, Leadership Empowerment Group for women leaders that are identifying and wanting to grow their capacity in their leadership. So we call it Lead Her Ship. So come on through. It's still time to sign up. And we also have the DEI, ESG, and Champions group starting towards the end of this month as well. So there's still time to sign up for that. That's a peer support group for those that are working in DEI, leading change, championing change in your community, family, or company. We have a space for you. We want to support you. And we have those 2 groups coming up this month that you can tap in. So this is how I'm stacking, in addition to wanting to have an opportunity to reevaluate and look at what's happening now that you lifted. We are in 3rd quarter. I want to make sure that I'm stacking real good. So those are the things, the way you can connect with me and how I'm stacking. And then we'll look into talking later on in the show of some other ways that we're stacking as well. How are you stacking?
Well, I am stacking well. I mean, it's just been a phenomenal week for me to just relax. I think that's the key, especially in a holiday week. Work always comes day in and day out. There's always something moving with all the different businesses I manage. But being able to just kind of understanding most people in this season of holiday transitioning into the week of 4th of July, a lot of people tend to take vacation time with their families, and rightfully so. Everyone should have the opportunity to just kind of have that decompress. Fortunately, we were traveling last week for the tour with I Am Brilliant. So, this week was a little bit more of a relaxation week to enjoy my house, like for those shout outs to those who want to just enjoy their house, right? I know everyone feels like they have to do something, but my house is designed for me to do everything that I want to do. One thing I definitely enjoyed this week was just really prioritizing my kids, as we have our small kids who are home, and even got a chance to spend some time with the oldest of the Brilliant Bunch this week. Just being able to spend time with them, see them and where they're at and how they're developing. Most importantly, challenging them, right? In the times of spending time with them and having fun, creating challenges. And this week, you were able to find that puzzle, that puzzle piece. You found a puzzle pack. I think it was was it Tabitha Brown puzzle game that I've been sitting this thing in the garage, y'all, for forever. And Shemekka, just like a great, woman keeping the house together, was straightening out the garage. She found this puzzle piece game that I had, like 500 pieces, something like that, or something in that range. So she brought it out for the kids to play with. And at first, sometimes I think I have so many other things I have to do. I don't have time for puzzles. But I finally sat down and just made the time to spend time with my son to work on this puzzle. And it was the best feeling ever to work with Chi and Max, the youngest two, the Brilliant Bunch. Just spending time with them to work on a puzzle was just amazing, just to have that kind of camaraderie and that energy, and creating a system with my sons to really work through a puzzle. But through that, I had such an epiphanous moment of my own life and my business practices. And really, this week became a week of aligning myself. So I relate that to the puzzle game, because it was so many pieces to this puzzle. Sometimes puzzles can feel impossible. But when you start to take things and organize them a certain way and start figuring out how you can categorize things in a way that you can build it out, it allows for you to really kind of break it down into sections and pieces. And me and my son were just very, creative in how we were able to do that. And just ultimately we were able to finish out this puzzle. But what it did for me is really trigger ways that I can better align my business practices, especially going into the third quarter. Looking at business, this week, preparing for what's stacking up for me, but just looking at business in a way of different pieces to a puzzle. But the greater God that has called me to the work I do, he knows I have all the pieces I need. It's just up to me to start putting them in their right places. And sometimes we can want to fit pieces in or make things fit where they don't necessarily need to be. And trust me, I'm that person, y'all. Like sometimes I'll force things in to fit in the puzzle that shouldn't be there or is not the right piece. And that, just simply working a simple puzzle with my kids just gave me so much perspective in how I've been treating my company, and really want to really regroup in this third quarter to really look back and understand the picture that I'm trying to paint, or at least try to construct in this puzzle called busyness that we're organizing, and really say, I have all the right pieces, and I'm starting to be much more clear on what the picture should look like. And I advise that to you all for your family, community, and company. It's just a bunch of pieces to a puzzle. Sometimes you got to step back and find all the pieces and organize it a certain way. But once you do that, the vision of what you're trying to see will start to get more and more clear. And that's something I was able to experience just from a simple puzzle game, y'all, to really help align my week and prepare me for this third quarter so we can continue the success of building what, me and Shemekka hold so dearly, which is I Am Brilliant, our Brilliant Bunch, the example we're trying to be for the world in regards to creating light in dark places, because there's so much darkness out there, y'all, but we have to continue to shine light when there is light and bright spots. So with that being said, we're going to transition into this week's topic. And I think it's very fitting from what we've been talking about, from puzzle pieces to preparing for the third quarter. And this week, we're going to talk about a topic called Build Back Better. So yes, build back better. Now, this is a concept that years ago when me and Shemekka first launched Sunday Stacks, we tell you the story all the time. We launched in the HBCU college campus and was able to kind of have different intriguing topics even back then. But this is something, a throwback to that time, to today, and reflected many years later to think about the concept of building back better, right? Have you all in your life considered what it looks like to build back better? And I use the analogy of ants. Every time I would, especially summertime, it's hot, you get a lot of seasonal ants in your backyard in different areas. But one thing I've always noticed about ants is as soon as you knock over their ant hill or you try to put something down for them, at some point they'll find another section, another area, and then they build another ant hill and it's even bigger than the last one they just built. And I asked myself that from a nature standpoint as we're continue to grow. Sunday Stacks is about growth, right? So I look at my own nature sometimes. And I have to say to myself, do I continue to kind of work back to the pieces with pieces that don't fit, or things get tore down and I get upset? But do I really take time to build back better? So I pose that to you all out there, whether you're on YouTube or if you're listening here on the live podcast network. Definitely we want some feedback in the chat. Definitely let us know. Do you build back better? So Shemekka, in the thoughts of build back better, do you have any reflections on what that could mean in your life or to the FCC model for our audience?
Absolutely. I've survived a lot of hits, a lot of things that were out of my control that really disrupted my regularly scheduled program, my agenda, my ideation of how I thought things would go. And what Build Back Better meant to me during those times is that, yes, what I was working on was totally destroyed, reconstructed, taken out of my mighty plan that I had, and the sovereign will of God transformed it into something better. But had I not been open to see something different and to look at things and be open for that new pathway, I could have been stuck in bitterness. I could have been stuck in being angry and upset and frustrated. But when we think about that through the lens of ants, I don't, of course, this is jokingly, but these ants are not turning around fussing at me when I step on their anthill. They just keep it moving. Oh, well, this got knocked down. Let me go and move around and do something else. And so we have to do that too in life, knowing that things are going to happen. Frustrations are going to come. Our plans are going to be reallocated to God's plan when we need that redirection. But building back better means that you're open and flexible and moldable so that you don't get stuck in being bitter and disappointed and depressed and struggling because you don't know what to do next. It's kind of like building back better means keeping yourself open and nimble for what comes next, so that when something does disrupt your regularly scheduled program, you are not as devastated and you're able to bounce back and keep it moving to get where you need to be.
Man, y'all, she gave us a whole word and a half. I mean, that right there had me, sometimes I like to think myself as a wordsmith, having to continue to give good content in where we're building. But sometimes that wisdom, that's what we're really after here with Sunday Stacks, is these moments of wisdom. And what Shemekka just laid out for you all was a true roadmap towards how we really see what this whole stacking up is meant to be. Sunday Stacks is always going to be about building back better. Even this program itself, when it was originally a radio show from a small HBCU, and we kind of left it on the shelf for many years, building all of our other enterprises through I Am Brilliant and just all of our other consulting work and the works we do across community. But then we said, you know what? We need a voice on a consistent basis that people can understand where we're coming from, because sometimes people will make assumptions because they see pictures or they see you continuously being relentless. And yes, that's what you see here every day with our I Am Brilliant crew. Like, we don't stop. Let's go. There's people that need this light. There's people who need to believe in themselves. So building back better and having the voice of Sunday Stacks was just a way of making sure that's why we say Sunday Stacks, we're back. We're back. We're back better week for week. We want you to feel that spirit of being back better week for week. There's no reason that you should be locked into any condition, any ideology that isn't serving you any time in your life. You should always continue to understand if something's being knocked down, build back better. So with that, we're going to go ahead and jump into this week's Whiz of the week, whiz of the week. And as you always see with Sunday Stacks, we try to keep the main theme across everything from how it's stacking to where we're at with the whiz of the week. And we've been talking about build back better. So look at the whiz of the week this week. There were so many things that were going on this week. I mean, we had, global leaders around the world. There was elections everywhere, y'all, from anywhere from the UK to France to Iran. I mean, everyone was choosing a new leader, right? And we talk about build back better. Everyone now is looking at ways after destructions and Brexits and these different things that happened. France had destructions. There's been Brexit. There's been issues in the Middle East and all these different places. We always try to create this democratic political process of people voting and being able to have their say. But part of that is about building back better. And we should never be locked into a space in regards to when we look at these global stages that we can ever think that because someone did something a long time ago, there's no way to improve it today. Right? That's a part of building back better. And as we also look at this week's political landscape here in the U.S. during the week of 4th of July, Independence Week, SCOTUS, the Supreme Courts, made a decision that the president has more immunity in situations where they're committing a act that's official, an official act. So they should have immunity through any types of issues or things that they are able to construct during their presidency. They're able to not be held accountable for anything that may be kind of on the lines of the law. And so a lot of people had controversy with that, of course, and, going back and forth in regards to what's right and whether or not, someone or anyone taking elected office will have too much power like a king. And again, when we're looking at our country and the things that we do not like, our goal is to get you to not get caught up in these whizzes that make you feel like somehow yesterday it was a better day than today is. Like every day, regardless of decisions that were made today, new decisions can be made tomorrow. The goal is for us to continuously build back better and give ourselves the position to really grow. And so also this week, we can't overlook with the Whiz of the Week for our community and our culture. This was the Essence Fest. Yes, this is the Essence Festival, 2024 Essence Festival, live in New Orleans. And, of course, we're not in attendance there, but we definitely want to shout out those of our community that love that festival and all of what New Orleans, the city, we've been to some in the past and definitely enjoy the energy. But definitely another thing that, again, takes the culture in one direction of what we watch, what we see. There was the BET Awards a few days ago, and you had Taraji talking about this Project 2025 and all these different things going on. So, Shemekka, give us words on how we can combat these whizzes that continuously will find us something new each week, every time.
We have to be mindful of what we put our energy to. We align with what we can control. We make sure that we are putting the positive energy out there that we have control over, that we can influence. But there are going to be so many things going on. Like it's unfortunate because it's all geared and targeted to draw on your emotional heartstrings, which our greatest center of energy is our emotions sometimes, and it could blow up or it can make some beautiful things come out of it. And so I share this with my scholars and those that I do leadership coaching with. It's like, what can you do with what's in your hand? Like, yes, these things are going to be happening. There are going to be distractions going on. The fact that we have a felon running for president, how he's trying to race bait for Black people to vote for them. We have to understand that this in the coming months, when we look at third and fourth quarter this year, there are going to be so many whizzes coming to distract your time and energy. Some of them will be very personal to you. Some of them you may be able to identify with, and a lot of them are going to be weapons of mass distraction to keep you away from what is really significant and important. So while people were looking at what was popping between Drake and Kendrick Lamar, SCOTUS was handing this down, and we may feel powerless, but understand those are appointed offices. These are people that are put in place by the people, elected officials, elected leaders that then appoint these individuals. And as a lot of energy is now being put to Project 2025, I would encourage you to read it. I know it may feel overwhelming. If you can't read it, great. At least go look at all these videos, these information videos on YouTube, so that you can understand what is being proposed, so that you can get more involved. And it all starts with you being involved in your own city, your own town, wherever you are. How are you showing up for yourself civically? Do you even know your elected officials? Do you know that they control what happens with your business, how much taxes you pay, your operating hours? For a restaurant, to have a social block where people can drink outside of the restaurant could also potentially mean more money for you. So you would want to know who's elected. You'd want to know if they're going to let you do that. You want to know that you can go communicate with them when the needs arise that you have. But if we don't have these relationships with these elected officials, we're losing this opportunity. We're wasting our energy, right, in the wrong directions, getting caught up in the whiz. But then we feel powerless because we didn't feel like we did anything to get involved. It could start with just literally doing a Google search to where you're registered to vote. And if you're not registered to vote, register to vote so you can pay more attention to these local officials. We're seeing this in the village of Dalton in Illinois, how the misappropriation of funds, resources, and the disrespect by elected officials is happening in real time. And out of the mouth of the village, they are having to experience a national circus of everyone watching them, this small town in Illinois, being put on a platform because of misappropriation of their leadership that was elected. So if we don't get involved, if you don't know what's going on, then you sit back and you're caught up in the whiz each time when something else happens and things begin to continue to happen to you without you being a part of it. So instead of complaining and getting on these emotional roller coasters, do your part, get involved civically, locally in your hometown, not just because it's election year for the national office, but because each election cycle is important to you, because it influences how your family is protected and valued, how your community has this opportunity to grow, and how your company has an opportunity to be more sustainable.
I love it. You hear, she's back, y'all. Shemekka, thank you so much for that, energy and just really putting these wizards in their place. The wizard of the week is not to just gossip like the rest of them. It's to put these wizards in their place so you never lose perspective week for week. And as this theme this week is about building back better, understand that in each situation, whether it's in your civic engagement, in your family, in your community, in your company, you can build back better. Don't think that just because you were mad at a relative yesterday, that again, you can't make amends today. We have to build back better in every situation that we're in if we're going to really follow the nature that we're meant to be. We're not meant to get caught up and just lament in things that aren't in the way we want it to be. Our job each time is to build back better. So, as always, we try to give you great insights here at Sunday Stacks. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I want you to continue to like and subscribe here on the YouTube channel, and definitely make sure to continue to support the Live Podcast Network. We really appreciate them continuously getting us to our community, getting us to the culture, and really connecting in ways that we bring a new, different depth of conversation and insights. Shemekka, you got anything you want to let the people know before we get out of here?
We care about you, we love you, and we celebrate you. And we're excited that you're part of our Sunday Stacks family. Thank you to Alive for giving us a network family that we can tap into and meaningfully engage. If you have not downloaded the app, please look up the Alive Network app, download it, and subscribe if you want to sow directly into the work that we're doing here at Sunday Stacks. That's the best way that you can say thanks, is to show us better than you can tell us that you value and appreciate what we do.
I appreciate that. And as always, we appreciate you here at Sunday Stacks. Thank you for joining us. As we wrap up each episode, we say, I am brilliant,
and you are too.
Thank you again for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Peace.